We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this Rebel Outpost college football channel with a donation. Just hit the $sign, make a comment, and I'll get you a super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody, one and all, into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend. Do not be afraid to be a legend, PATC community, with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. First, I received a donation from a Mountaineer fan who suffered the loss against Penn State, just like Virginia Tech suffered a loss against Vanderbilt, just like Clemson suffered a loss against Georgia, just like Florida suffered a loss against Miami Hurricanes, just like my beloved Golden Gophers lost to North Carolina. Give me a donation. just like LSU lost, he gave me a donation to sing Johnny Cash Hurt live. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't even have the lyrics up. I did a video of it, episode 411, but I got a donation to sing it live. So if I screw it up, I can't doctor it, I can't make it look, I just gonna go live, just gonna sing it, just gonna butcher it, and I'm gonna do it now. I don't have the lyrics up. I gotta post the lyrics. I'm gonna do that before there's too many more of you that come to arrive to watch this live show. And for those who are in the chat, or for those who are watching, you might want to hit the mute button, go and leave, come back. But I gotta sing Hurt, Johnny Cash, 9 Inch Nails. So that's what we're gonna do to start the show. The rest of the monologue is gonna be, we are on the eve, Wednesday night eve, the night before the hearings. We're gonna go through part of the Ross Dellenger article in Yahoo Sports. Part of it. If you want to read the whole article, there's a link provided in the description box. You can go through the whole thing. There is one part of that article that I want to know more about. And I've been kind of pounding on the table. And it has to do with, when the student athlete, when the football player, when he signs, there's not going to be this letter of intent. There's going to be something else. I want to know what that is. I want to know if there's a true negotiation. I want to know if that binds the player to a contract. Ross Dellenger mentioned it in an article again today. We're going to go over it. And then there's going to be hearings tomorrow. And I don't know, I don't know what time the hearings are. I know it's going to be streamed. If I'm in position to stream it live, I will. I don't know how many answers we're going to get. We may not get any answers. Maybe by the end of it, when it becomes all official, the arrival of revenue sharing is here. Maybe we'll get more information. Anyway, so we're going to go through that. Then we're going to do Preston from Greensboro. Do the 9 Inch Nails. Look, I can't do 9 Inch Nails. I can't do Johnny Cash. I can't even do the worst. The only version I can do is the fat guy from Minnesota version. That's all I got. That's all I got. And it's not good enough. As you know, Preston Greensboro. As you know, because you got a big whiff of it last Thursday night. The studio sits in the middle of Loserville City, and I am the mayor. I'm going to sing it however I can get through it. We're going to get through it fast. And I appreciate the donation. I understand the pain of the Mountaineer fan who gave me the donation. I get it. It's pain. It's absolute pain. And so I'm going to sing it for him. And the rest of you are going to have to hit the mute button. The rest of you are going to have to hit the mute button. But then we're going to go over 12 football games. We are not making our selections today. I need another 24 hours. But we're going to quickly go through them. I'm going to talk about them. You are going to talk about them in the chat. You're going to give me phone calls. Maybe you're going to give me some of your guidance, some of your help. There's a few of these games I am not moving off the beam. I know exactly what I'm going to do. There's some other games on that list. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, to be honest with you. But we're going to make our selections tomorrow, Thursday. The first game on that list, the game that's going to be played, is, of course, Friday, Kansas, Illinois. So anyways, we're going to go through those games. First of all, let me get the lyrics up. I got to get the lyrics up. You know, I got a whole bunch of excuses. Greg, you have to do better than 1-9. Well, you would think so. God, I can't believe it. That 1-9. So let's do this. I got to get the headsets off. Let's just do the best we can here. Do you guys hear an echo right now when I talk? Are you hearing an echo? Give me a no or give me a yes. No echo? Okay. All right. So let's, you know what? Let's just do the best we can. Mountaineer fan who gave me the donation, I thank you very much for your generosity, for helping us keep the lights on here. And I do understand your pain. I absolutely understand your pain. So let's get this lined up. And this is going to be horrible. No question about it. It's going to be a disaster. I can't even find where I'm starting here. Okay. Here we go. Good luck, everybody. I'm going to cough through it. Oh, man, this is going to be bad. But we're going to do it. Let's go. Let's go. I've hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole, the old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away. But I remember everything. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end. And you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt. I wear this crown of thorns upon my liar's chair, full of broken hearts I cannot repair. Beneath the stains of time, the feelings disappear. You are someone else, and I'm still right here. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end. And you could have it all, my empire of dirt. I will let you down. I will make you hurt. If I could start again, 1,000,000 miles away, I would keep myself. I would find a way. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mountaineer, for the donation. Again, I appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity, and I completely understand the pain. And that's why I had to come up with a song. A very difficult song to do. No music, no. Just can't do Johnny Cash, can't do 9 Inch Nails, can't do anybody. But anyways, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And for those who made it through that, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Come back in. Come back in. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about that was better than Florida State's defense. Greg the Cooler needs another 24 hours for my selections. No question about it. AMAC, I already have it on mute. Very smart guy. Very smart guy. Not every episode is for everyone. Once you've heard one Flugar album, you've heard them all. Yes, it's all pain. Greg the Gold, yeah. Greg the Crooner. Thanks, ALC. Thank you, Mr. Louisville Cardinal. Okay, so we're going to go through these games. Going to talk about them quick, and then we're going to be talking about Ross Dellenger's article. We are on the eve of the hearings. It's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm going to attempt, I can't promise you a rose garden, but I'm going to attempt to cover it live. First of all, let's go through some of these, all the games that we are going to select for tomorrow. Starting, I'm sorry, it's BYU and SMU, not the Kansas game. Now I cough. I should have coughed when I was singing. It would have made it better. BYU at SMU. SMU minus 11.5. What do you guys think? What are you thinking? What are you thinking, sickos? What are you thinking? SMU got it going a little bit in week 2. They struggled in week 1. 11.5 at SMU. Is that enough points? Is BYU getting enough points in that game? Arkansas, Oklahoma State. I already did an apology. To the Cowboys. I did an apology to the fans. What more can I possibly do? Oklahoma State is favored 7.5. Is Arkansas getting enough points? The Razorback. First game with new offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino. They rolled. Of course, it was Arkansas Bluff, whatever, high school, whatever team that is. Do we know enough to make this selection? Where we're going to make the selection. Arkansas, Oklahoma State in Stillwater. I am I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very impressed with Oklahoma State in week 1. Are they even receiving enough sunshine? Arkansas, this is Sam Pittman's time. This is time where Arkansas Razorbacks have to show up for this game. Sam Pittman. Oh, do I still have that preseason? This is in Vegas. Sam Pittman is number 2 on the list for the first head coach to be fired. Number 1, Billy Napier is well on his way. Mario Cristobal ain't going to be number 3 on that list any longer. He's not even going to be on the list in a couple more weeks. Dave Aranda, Baylor bounced back. Clark Lee, Vanderbilt, impressive game. Sataki, I don't know. We're going to find out more this Friday night. BYU, SMU. So anyways, Billy Napier is big on that list. Number 1, Sam Pittman. Sam Pittman. So you got an Oklahoma State team that impressed me, and I apologize to the Cowboys fans last week or this weekend, and the Razorbacks really need to show up. And I kind of think they are going to show up. So this is going to be a tough one for me. Cowboys 7.5. Ryan Willie, the evil badger. Tony, I don't like you because of your personal attacks, throwing elbows at Wisconsin for taking on Bama when I don't see Minnesota doing that. And Minnesota was the only team that lost last week. Ryan Willie, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Is Tony even in the chat room? I don't even see Tony in the chat room. So he's probably not even going to see it. But I do appreciate super chat, Ryan Willie, and good luck against Bama. Going to be an interesting game. Interesting game. I don't think Tyler Van Dyke is going to make it. But we'll see. Maybe he can prove me wrong. There are parts of that Wisconsin team that played good in week 1, even though they did not cover the spread, even though they only beat Western Michigan by 10 points. I do like their combo. I do like their 2 running backs. And I'm not just talking about their production. I think both those guys are ballers. Like, they love to play football. So they're tough. Those 2 cats are very tough. But anyways, thank you, Tony. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for the super chat. I do appreciate it. So Georgia Tech at Syracuse. Look at that line. Look at that line. Kyle McCord versus Haynes King. Georgia Tech given 2.5 points. Very impressive first 2 games. Syracuse, impressive first game. New head coach for Syracuse. Look at that line. Is that a trap game? Is that a trap game? Are they trying to pull us in? Are they trying to make us take the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech? Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Bearcat Steve, part of the long legendary member of the PATC community, he believes that that game is an over, a lock on the over. Now, that is a pretty big number. That's 62.5, but he says both teams could score close or on 50. Both offenses exploded last week. A surprise starter for the Panthers, Eli Holstein, the transfer from Alabama. He started, not Nate Yalmer. Holstein did, and he played really good. And, you know, this game's at Cincinnati. Pittsburgh is going to play West Virginia next week. Are they looking towards that? Cincinnati is -2. Jim Reese says Georgia Tech, and then Jim Reese says Pittsburgh here. Secret Agent says Cincinnati here. Go Black 45 says, I think Syracuse is going to win outright. Steve, Bearcat Steve, take the over. I can't stress it enough. Now, Preston Greensboro says, be careful with those overs with the new clock rules and the helmet microphones. But again, you know that Vegas has made the adjustments on the over-under number. Go Black 45, since he does not have enough depth, Pitt will run the damn ball. Iowa State at Iowa. Now, I'm not going to make it a secret here. Look at that over and under. Look at that over line. 35. 35. 35. This is the one, no, there's two games that I am not going, I know what I'm going to do. Well, there's three games. There's three games. I know what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to keep it a secret going into tomorrow. This is one of them. I got the Cyclones. I think they're going to beat the brakes off the Hawkeyes. And I think Iowa -3. I think they're a little bit on a sugar high. I think the Hawkeye fans are a little bit on the sugar high. I think Vegas is on a little bit of a sugar high. I think Iowa won 40-0. They have every reason to feel good about themselves. But, you know, the competition, Iowa State's defense is legit. But the key part of this game is that Cyclones offense is legit. And they kept it under wraps last week. Now I want to know if Abu Sama, the great running back, is going to play next week. Probably not. But I think the Cyclones are going to beat the everlasting brakes out the Hawkeyes at Iowa City. And the next two games, South Carolina, Kentucky, I'm not going to keep this a secret. Kentucky -10. Kentucky -10. If I was in Vegas, I'd be going to the betting window and I'd make that paper go blur until the paper ran out, and I'd be taking the Kentucky Wildcats. I think South Carolina is probably going to end up the worst SEC team in the country, in the conference. I think they're going to go below Mississippi State and below Vanderbilt. I don't think that quarterback is a power conference quarterback. The offensive line is not a power conference offensive line. I think Kentucky is going to blow the doors off the Gamecocks. So I'm not going to keep that a secret either. Now the PATC community might say, look, Greg the Ice Age is probably going to go 1-9 again this week, and South Carolina's probably going to outright win the game. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, guys. Go take the Gamecocks in this game. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. And now let's talk about it. And we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. We're going to talk more about all these games tomorrow, because we're going to make our selections tomorrow. But this game will be so incredibly impactful when it comes to determine the G5 representative into the expanded playoffs. Not just who wins this game, not just who wins this game and by how much, but then it's an AAC Sun Belt battle, and then you're going to be comparing, if UTSA is not the winner of the ACC, if Texas State is not the winner of the Sun Belt, let's say it's Appalachian State, let's say it's Tulane or Memphis in the AAC, you're going to be comparing how those teams did against these two teams in relative to what happens in this game. This is a monster of a game. Texas State is favored by 1 at home. It's a monster of a game. Kansas at Illinois. Kansas handled Illinois pretty easily last year. Kansas is favored by 5.5 going into Illinois. Luke Altmaier finally came alive. Maybe he's turned the corner, the quarterback of Illinois. In Kansas, well, you know, we'll see now. We'll see what the Andy Kotelnicki going to Penn State, if it has any effect at all. We're going to get a dose of it here, this game, Kansas at Illinois. Well, you know who I'm taking. Tennessee at North Carolina State. You know who I'm taking. You know who I'm taking. That's Charlotte. Neutral field, but it's in the state of North Carolina. The Wolfpack is getting 8 points. 8 points. I'll gladly take those 8 points. I'm going to take those 8 points while North Carolina State storms to victory in the game. Take the money line, plus 245, but we're going to take the line. We're going to take the spread. Colorado at Nebraska. Colorado at Nebraska. Nebraska is favored by 7.5 points. The personalities in this game, woo! Deion Sanders, Matt Rule. Couldn't be any different. Dylan Raiola, Shedeur Sanders. That experienced Nebraska Cornhuskers defense who got their doors blown off by the Buffaloes offense last year, but at home in this year. Tony White's the defensive coordinator for the second year. Can Nebraska slow Colorado down? And what about the Nebraska's offensive line? The first week, UTEP is not a test. My eyes, the most important part of this game for me is the Cornhuskers offensive line. I think they're going to do pretty good on defense. I think Raiola's going to be pretty good in his first real competitive game as a college quarterback. I think he's going to do fine. I don't think he's going to melt. I think he's an incredible talent who's also a dog. That's what they call him in Lincoln. He's an absolute dog. I believe it. But that offensive line is scary. And I think not scary in they're not good, in my humble opinion. And that's the opinion I've shared for years about Nebraska's offensive line. And they've got the same cats in the offensive line this year than they had last year. So we're going to see what Dylan Raiola does to the pressure that the Colorado Buffaloes are going to put on. And then finally, Boise State at Oregon. Oregon had a shaky first week against Idaho. Well, Boise State's a lot better than Idaho. Boise State gave up a lot of points. Ashton Genty, the great running back of Boise State, went crazy last week. Is he going to go crazy over the Ducks this week? Oregon minus 20. It's our biggest spread on the board for week 1. Is giving 20 points too much for the Oregon Ducks to give to Boise State? Richard L. says the Ducks snap back. Colorado's defense couldn't stop a dead rat. Well, maybe the Cornhuskers' offensive line is worse than a dead rat. We'll see. We shall see. Amax says corn all the way. Tennessee's a little bit better than Western Carolina. Infamous, it's sold out in Illinois. Infamous, I hurt myself today. Secret agent says Texas State. Kentucky for sure. Greg the Iceberg. We're not going to make our selections tomorrow. But those are the games, so let it marinate. Come with your votes tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. Again, the PATC community against the spread thus far is 4 wins, 6 losses. Greg the Gold is one win, 9 losses. Tomorrow, for the first time this year, Greg the Gold is actually going to show up. It's going to be fantastic. Tomorrow, September 5th, Thursday, locks after locks after locks. It's going to be a beautiful week, too. North Carolina State, Kentucky. There's other ones in there, but I just didn't want to reveal them tonight. Okay, let's get into the Yahoo Sports. Ross Dellenger's article, we are sitting on the eve. Ahead of a crucial House NCAA hearing, leaders trying to establish new system to manage revenue sharing. This Saturday, at college football stadiums across the country, games kick off to mark the second full weekend of the sport. Arkansas plays Oklahoma State in SEC versus Big 12 duel. Iowa State battles Iowa, Cy-Hawk rivalry. Tennessee meets North Carolina State in a neutral site clash in Charlotte. In Ann Arbor, the biggest game commences. Number 3, Texas. Number 10, Michigan. While the eyes of the sports are focused on these high-profile matchups on the field, there are perhaps even more important battles unfolding off it. Most of them related to the NCAA's landmark settlement of the House antitrust case, an agreement expected to usher in the industry a new athletic revenue sharing model next July. And that is why the title of the show, Arrival of Revenue Sharing. After the hearing tomorrow, I think we're going to have a better understanding of where this is all going. Of course, we're not going to get all of our answers. We're not going to get all of our answers. Far removed from the touchdowns and the field goals, there are legal games being played, strategic moves, and crucial decisions that may impact the future of college athletics. There's a lot going on. Quietly, conference and NCAA leaders are working to establish a regulatory system to manage and enforce this new revenue sharing model, seeking to hire outside entities to oversee the management and enforcement systems, not the NCAA. Power conference officials have seen presentations from some of the world's largest professional service providers, such as PricewaterhouseCoopers. So they're going outside to try to regulate, to establish the guardrails, enforcement of the revenue sharing policies. On the eve of the hearing, in two separate interviews conducted recently, the two lead House plaintiff attorneys, Steve Berman and Jeffrey Kessler, expressed their confidence that the judge tomorrow will approve the settlement, even if it means requiring modifications to language in the agreement. Excuse me, something that many expect. We're very positive she's going to overrule the Fontenot obligations in another court case, Bierman said, before adding, there could be minor changes. There could be minor changes that we're going to learn about tomorrow. On the local level, school leaders are bracing for the approval of the settlement in the arrival of the revenue sharing concept. We are on the eve of revenue sharing. Wednesday night, September 4th. They are maximizing previously untapped revenue sources. Think naming rights and sponsorships. They are beginning a restructuring of the departments to resemble a more professional model, a general manager and other pro-like personnel positions. They are overhauling their budgets to tier sports, investing more in sports that bring eyeballs, generate revenue, and or have the capacity to compete for championships. Again, we do not go through the whole article. There's a link provided in the description box. Hit the link, you can read the whole article. Cap management. As part of the settlement agreement, each school will be permitted to share the same amount of pool money with athletes on an annual basis. The pool's cap is going to be 22% of an average of power conference schools' revenues. It will apply to all schools and will fluctuate based on built-in escalators in school revenue increases. Projections put year one cap at about 20 to 23 million. And we're going to find out in March, I believe, next spring. We're going to find out in March what the cap is beginning July 1st, 2025. That's what I believe is going to happen. Plaintiffs say that the plan to hire an accounting firm to audit schools to ensure they are submitting accurate revenue figures and that their payroll is staying within the cap. We don't want schools taking other sources of revenue and disguising as category outside of what counts, Bierman says. College administrators expect to use a reporting system to submit their contract figures with athletes into a database of some kind that tracks cap numbers. Details and policies around contracts between schools and athletes remain unclear, but several administrators are working toward building multi-year agreements that feature buyout language to limit transfer movement. For me, this is the PATC money shot of the article. Number one, college administrators expect to use a reporting system to submit their contract figures with athletes into a database of some kind that tracks cap numbers. Number one, are we going to be able to see that? Are we going to be able to see that? Expedition Greg, Mr. Buckeye, is Expedition Greg going to be able to go and look at the cap numbers of the Buckeyes? Who's getting what? Not their outside NIL money, but the revenue sharing from the Ohio State Buckeyes athletic department to the players. Is Ryan Brooks, LSU fan, is he going to be able to see how much they're giving to that excellent punter, to that excellent kicker? That's the first question I have. Is it going to be made public? Details and policies around contracts between schools and athletes remain unclear, but several administrators are working toward building a multi-year agreements that feature buyout language to limit transfer movement. So if you come in, if you become a player of the Louisville Cardinals, multi-year agreement, are you going to give up your name, image, and likeness for 3 years, and then you get paid by Louisville, and you get paid by the collective? That's going to all that stuff. It's going to go through a clearinghouse, and then you're going to be bounded by Louisville for the next 3 years. I'm just giving an example. And if you want to transfer after year one, well, then whoever grabs you is going to have to buy Louisville out. They're going to have to pay Louisville. That could limit transfer movement. Again, we don't have the details, but this is what I want to learn. This is what I want to figure out. This is what I want. Hopefully there's more information coming out of tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then soon after. What's next? The settlement is a long way from a final approval. Thursday is the next possible step in the road. If Wilkin grants the preliminary approval, plaintiff lawyers get 90 days to gather names of class members from university and issue them notice of the settlement. There's another 90-day period of those members to individually object to the settlement. A final approval is not expected before January, could stretch into March, but this is the big day, tomorrow, a preliminary approval. In the meantime, finally in the article, in the meantime, many organizations, individuals, even some college administrators have expressed skepticism and doubt that the settlement offers a strong long-term solution for college athletics. And we've talked about that here at Peek Around the Corner. In fact, we talked about it in our very first episode, our manifesto. The real solution is a collective bargaining agreement. That's the real solution. They have representatives for the student athletes, representatives for the schools and conference, collective bargain, binding contracts. But we're not there yet. The college administrators, the university presidents, they're dragging their feet. And now they've come up with this. And because I love college football, I hope it works somewhat before there's going to be more court cases filed against it and We're going to have to go through this all over again. But the part that I'm most interested in is the player signing whatever you want to call that piece of paper to say, yes, I've committed to South Carolina. Yes, I've committed to Utah. Yes, I've committed to California, Berkeley. Is there a way to really have that be a contract in which the player just cannot say, well, I'm gone 6 months later? I want players to have flexibility, to have freedom. But this sport also needs some sort of guardrails around that. I mean, we've got guys right now signing letter of intent letters and then transferring to a different school even before they go to their first day of class. There's got to be some management. And when we're talking about, I see a lot of good comments. Michael Smith on enforcing the salary cap. Never worked before, won't now. Humans are too crafty at cheating. Well, professional leagues have salary caps. Some of them do. Right? In those professional leagues, they have enforcement arms looking at all that stuff constantly. Every trade, every contract, it has to go to the league. So this is going to an outside companies. This is not going to be enforced, regulated, looked after by the NCAA. This is all going to somebody else. We'll see if it works. Having revenue sharing cannot make you lose NIL. It doesn't make you lose NIL. You still have NIL. Supposedly, the NIL is going to be a little different. The NIL is going to be, it sounds like it's going to be one of two ways. If you're a student athlete, you can hand over your name, image, and likeness to the athletic department, to where they own your name, image, and likeness, and you are going to receive NIL money. Outside of the revenue sharing money. Depending on whatever NIL collectives, whatever they can get going for you. Now, supposedly, if you're like a left tackle and you're going to Iowa State, you could sign over your NIL to Iowa State, and then the athletic department with the collectives work out an NIL, whatever. Let's say you go to the grocery store. Let's say your name is on the face of a grocery store, whatever it is. You're going to get paid for that. That deal between NIL, you, Iowa State, would have to go through some clearinghouse to say, yeah, he's receiving the correct value, whatever. It's not going to be bags of cash being sent to the left tackle of Iowa State. That's what they're trying to avoid. Now, of course, they're not going to be able to avoid all of it, but there's going to be stringent penalties if they catch you this time, supposedly. So you do have NIL. You can sell your NIL rights to the school. Or you don't have to, supposedly. And then you're out on your own. And maybe some of the bigger time players coming out of high school are going to choose that route. We don't know. But there are a lot of football players, basketball players, revenue student athletes supposedly are going to make revenue sharing money and some NIL. Dodgers are still the Dodgers and Yankees are still the Yankees. Yep. So you're going to have a revenue cap. Ohio State is going to spend $23 million directly from their athletic budget to the players, just like Iowa, for example. But then they're going to have their collectives that are going to spend a lot more than in Iowa. That advantage is not going away. That advantage is not going away. There's still going to be Yankees. There's still going to be Dodgers. But what they are reporting is that extra, that NIL, the big collectives, those deals have got to go through some sort of clearinghouse. They got to be on the up and up. It can't be just you're going to get a Lamborghini because you're just a star quarterback. Supposedly. Now again, there's going to be people filing suits against that, which is fine. They collectively bargain with employee unions, Greg. I don't know what that means. If I'm not an employee with employee contract, I cannot be bound. Why would any school comply? Well, okay, I understand what you're saying. Until there's a collective bargaining, I agree with you. I agree with you. But on the other hand, this is all going through the settlement, guys. I mean, here's the thing. They paid out $2.79 billion in back pay. It would have been a lot more, but the benefit of they've decided to go all in on this, what they are creating, so they don't have to pay more than the 2.7, 2.9. The SEC is as much bought into this as anybody else. There's going to be outside companies enforcing this. We're going to see how it works, but this is not NCAA running it. And the SEC is there is no difference. Sankey, the only legal entity with any authority is the conference. This is why Sankey is fairly dismissive of these efforts. Okay. Well, Sankey is dismissive of collective bargaining as well. He's dismissive of students becoming employees as well. Sankey's dismissive of everything. But the SEC schools signed for this. Everybody gave their approval. That's been the big story for months. They've got to do this. They've got to attempt to do it. That's part of the settlement. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but how well it works, we're going to find out. But the SEC's in this as much as anybody else. I mean, they signed on the dotted line. They had to, because if they didn't, it wasn't going to be a 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 billion dollar back pay. It was going to be 10, 15, 20 billion. So they're all in on it. Yes, there's a salary cap, but then there's going to be collectives that bring the Georgia players and the Buckeye players and more money than the other collectives out there in football. You still have the Yankees and the Dodgers. The Yankees and the Dodgers, they pay a luxury tax. Ohio State's not going to be paying a luxury tax, but they're still going to have their deals go through a clearinghouse. Their deals have to be approved for now until there's a court case. But again, this is a settlement with the judge and approval. Maybe some of the minor changes, if there is tomorrow, we're going to find out what those are. Maybe those NIL deals between the Buckeyes and their players aren't going to have to go through any approval process. It's all headed to employment, union, salary cap, commissioner, equal revenue sharing. I agree. We're not there yet, though, unfortunately. The conferences do not have, well, under this situation, they do not have the enforcement. The enforcement power is those lawyers, Kessler, and the organization that they're going to hire to keep track of this, to make sure that everyone's following the rules, and if it doesn't, there's going to be supposedly harsh penalties. The conferences do not have the enforcement power. This is not like this is different than other decisions that are being made, like helmet communication or having an unlimited number of coaches on your coaching staff or things of that nature. This is part of the legal settlement. And the enforcement's not going to belong to the conferences. It's not going to belong to the NCAA. According to the settlement, the players are still going to have to attend classes. They're still going to have to meet whatever institutional benchmark that's out there for them to remain on a football team, basketball team. Because if they breach this, then we're going to go back to a 10, 15, 20 billion dollar back pay. Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines. Let me know how wrong I got everything once again. Again, this is college football's peek around the corner. We're sitting on the eve. We're sitting on the eve of the hearing, and Yahoo Sports covering it. The hearing is going to be tomorrow, and I am going to do all that I can to live stream it. But if you guys know of where this is going to be live streamed, please send it to me on my X DM, direct message. Send it to me there so I can do a live stream, so we all can sit around and put down comments and talk about what is going on during the House NCAA hearing. Leaders trying to establish new system of revenue sharing. That's tomorrow. We're sitting on the eve. So the phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. In the meantime, I did forget, for whatever reason, I don't think I showed the Texas-Michigan game. That's another game we're going to be picking tomorrow. The line is 7. It's at Ann Arbor. But Michigan is getting 7 points. I got a feeling that I'm going to have questions about Michigan's offense throughout the whole season. But I think this is a sneaky game. One, because, again, I'm nervous about Texas' running game without the top 2 running backs. And I went into the season not nervous about Quinn Ewers, but nervous about the adjustment that he was going to have to make with the new group of wide receivers. And going against Michigan early in the season, that defense, Will Johnson, the great defensive tackles they got, Will Johnson, the great defensive back, that speed that Michigan still has on that defensive side of the ball, Texas is probably the better football team. But are they 7 points better in week 2 at Ann Arbor? That's the question. That is the question. Infamous frontrunner Dog and Pony Show. Larry the GM, Professional Sports. So if you sign over your NIL to a school and the football team has a 4-8 record, can a swimmer or soccer player sue because since the losing football devalued their... I don't know how a football player would devalue a swimmer or soccer player's value. Go Black 45. I don't know how a losing football program would devalue a swimmer or soccer. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. If a swimmer is getting NIL money, if there's a contract, if it's through the school's collective, that's not going to be affected by how the football team does. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question. Let me know where I'm getting that wrong. I'm going to check here. I got a message. I'm going to check this out real quick. There's an article here on the ACC. You know how they're doing that revenue sharing? The league is hoping a new wrinkle. Just came out this afternoon. The league is hoping a new wrinkle to how it divvies up payments to its member schools can help and provide some stability about its long-term future. This is the first sports season under a new model allowing ACC schools to keep more of the money generated by their own postseason success. The success initiative could mean 20 to 25 million more for a school. In other words, let's say Miami Hurricanes, right? Most people have them penciled as the favorite. They go ahead and they win the ACC championship. They go do well in the playoffs. The Hurricanes are going to make more money, right? Unequal revenue shares when it comes to performance-based revenue. We're seeing more and more of a movement towards if you generate it, you get it. North Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham said in an interview with the Associated Press. You're seeing that within leagues, by the conference affiliations, in those changes. You're seeing it more within sport programs. If I generate it, I should get it. So all of this is following the natural pattern. And we're trying to deal with that while trying to keep a league together and make the league competitive from top to bottom. The plan was approved in May of 2023. So that article came out just now, just reminding everybody that the ACC, This is the first year where they're going to divvy up extra money to those who do better in football and basketball. We went through the football games that we're going to make a pick on for tomorrow. We're going to do the selections tomorrow. And we've also talked about Ross Dellenger's Yahoo article we are on the eve of the NCAA House hearings. My question is, do we know the time and do we have a link that I could possibly show during a live show? I don't know. I don't know the time of the hearing. It's probably going to be in the morning. But if I can get somebody to send me a link, if anybody finds out, send it to me and we'll carry that hearing live. We also, at the beginning of the live show, we also had to sing Johnny Cash Hurt song because I got a donation from a very generous Mountaineer fan who's been hurt. He saw the video. He made a donation. He wanted for me to sing it live. So I sang that song live again at the beginning of this live show, and it seemed that people survived. Barely. So, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends. I want to thank you all for joining us today. PATC. If the Wednesday shows, I've said this forever, are the most difficult day for me to do a live show because I have obligations in the early evening, stretched throughout the evening. But if there's any breaking news on the hearing for tomorrow, if there's any breaking news, I'll be coming on late tonight, like 10:30 Eastern time, that type of time, if there's any breaking news. So you got to subscribe. You got to have your notifications turned on. I do appreciate you all coming in. We didn't get any phone calls, so we're just going to shut it down. And again, tomorrow is a big day in NCAA hearing. We're going to try to do a live stream. We're going to try to do a live breakfast show, PATC. Cover it live and see what happens. See if there's any changes to the agreement. Like it looks like there's going to be some minor changes. We'll talk about it, discuss. And tomorrow we're going to be doing our selections. We went through the games early in the live show, so buckle up, brace for impact. Hopefully Greg the Gold shows up tomorrow. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.